The Miracles of Your Mind. Chapter 1. How Your Own Mind Works. Man has only one mind, but he has two distinct phases, or functions of the one mind. Each phase is characterized by its own phenomena which is peculiar to itself. Each of these minds is capable of independent action, as well as synchronous action. We call one the objective mind, because it deals with external things, and the other is the subjective mind. The subjective mind is amenable and controlled by suggestion of the objective or conscious mind. The objective mind takes cognizance of the objective world. The media of observation are the five physical senses. The objective mind is your guide in your contact with the environment. We gain knowledge through the five senses. The objective mind learns through observation, experience, and education. The greatest function of the conscious mind is that of reasoning. Look around Los Angeles. You come to the conclusion that it is a beautiful city based upon your observation of the parks, the buildings, the beautiful structure, the lovely flower gardens, etc. This is the working of your conscious or objective mind. The word objective means that it deals with objective things. The subjective mind takes cognizance of its environment by means independent of the five physical senses. The subjective mind or the subconscious mind, either term may be used, perceives by intuition. The subconscious mind is the seat of your emotions. We know without a doubt that it performs its highest functions when the objective senses are in abeyance. It is the intelligence that makes itself manifest when the conscious mind is suspended or in a sleepy, drowsy state. The subconscious mind sees without the use of the eyes. It has the capacity of clairvoyance and clairaudience. The subconscious mind can leave the body, travel to distant lands, and bring back intelligence oftentimes of the most exact and truthful character. Through the subconscious mind you can read the thoughts of others, even to the minutest details. Read the contents of sealed envelopes and closed safes. The subconscious mind has the ability to apprehend the thoughts of others without the use of the ordinary objective means of communication. So it is of the greatest importance that we understand the interaction of the conscious and subconscious mind in order to learn the true art of prayer. Now there are many terms used in describing the objective and the subjective mind. They are, as we told you, called the conscious or subconscious mind, the waking or sleeping mind, the surface self or the deep self, voluntary mind or involuntary mind, the male and the female, and many other terms. Remember, there is only one mind having two phases or functions. The subjective mind is always amenable to suggestion. It is controlled by suggestion. We must recognize that the subconscious mind accepts all suggestions. It does not argue with you, but it fulfills your wishes. All things that have happened to you are based on thoughts impressed on the subconscious mind through belief. The subconscious mind will accept your beliefs and your convictions. It is like the soil. It will accept any seed that you deposit in it, whether it is good or bad. Remember, anything that you accept as true and believe in will be accepted by your subconscious mind and brought into your life as a condition, experience, or event. Ideas are conveyed to the subconscious mind through feeling. We will use an illustration. The conscious mind is like the navigator or man at the bridge of a ship. He directs the ship and signals orders to the men in the engine room, which consists of all of the boilers, instruments, gauges, etc. The men in the engine room do not know where they are going. They follow orders. They would go on the rocks if the man on the bridge issued faulty or wrong instructions based on his findings with a compass, sextant, or other instruments. The men in the engine room obey him because he is the director. They do not talk back to the captain. They simply carry out orders. The captain is the master of the ship. His orders are followed out. Likewise, your conscious mind is the captain, the master of your ship. Your body and all of your affairs represent the ship. Your subconscious mind takes the orders you give it based upon your belief and suggestions accepted as true. Another simple illustration is this: when you repeatedly say to people, "I do not like mushrooms," then the time comes for you to be served mushrooms. You get indigestion because your subconscious mind says to you, "The boss does not like mushrooms." This is an example probably amusing to you. Nevertheless, this is an example of the relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind. When a woman says, "I wake up at 3 o'clock, if I drink coffee at night," whenever she drinks it, the subconscious mind nudges her, as if to say, "The boss wants you to stay awake tonight." The heart is called the subconscious mind in ancient allegories. The Egyptians knew that the heart was the subconscious mind, but they did not call it by that name. The Chaldeans and the Babylonians called it by different names. You can impress your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind will express what is impressed upon it. Any idea that is emotionalized or felt as true will be accepted by your subconscious mind. If you want a healing, for example, get silent, relax, breathe easily, immobilize your attention, think of the healing power within your subconscious mind. Affirm that the organ of your body is healing now. As you do that, there must be no resentment or bitterness in your heart. You must forgive everyone. You can repeat this healing process 3 or 4 times daily. Remember that your subconscious mind made the body and can heal it also. People are constantly affirming the healing of an organ or a part of their body. Then 10 or 15 minutes afterwards, they say, "Oh, I am getting worse. I'll never be healed. I am incurable." This mental attitude or these negative statements neutralize the previous positive affirmation. If a surgeon operated on you, cut out your appendix, and in the next few minutes ran back and opened you up again to see how you were getting along, then a half hour later ran back and opened you up again, he would probably kill you by poisoning. You kill or prevent your healing by using negative statements. There is a subconscious mind within you. You should learn how to use it in the same manner as a man learns to use electricity. Man controls electricity with wires, tubes, and bulbs, plus his knowledge of the laws of conductivity and insulation, etc. We must learn about the tremendous power and the intelligence within us, and use it wisely. Many men are beginning to realize the true importance of the subconscious mind. In business, many men are using it to achieve success and promotion. Edison, Ford, Marconi, Einstein, and many others have used the subconscious mind. It has given to them the insight and the know-how for all of their great achievements in science, industry, and art. Research has shown that the ability to bring into action the subconscious powers has determined the success of all of the great scientific and research workers. There is a tremendous dynamo within you, and you can use it. You can also be completely released from tension and frustration. You can discover the abundant energy within you, enabling you to energize and vitalize all parts of your body. We are told, for example, that Albert Hubbard declared that his most important ideas came while he was relaxed, or working in the garden, or going for a walk. The reason being, when the conscious mind is relaxed, the subjective wisdom comes to the fore. There are oftentimes inspirational uprushes when the conscious mind is completely relaxed. How often have you wondered at night what the answer to a particular problem was, and when you turned the request over to the subconscious mind, it gave you the solution in the morning? This is the meaning of the old adage, "Night brings counsel." If you want to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you suggest 7 o'clock to the subconscious mind will wake you at 7 o'clock on the dot. A mother may be nursing a sick child, and she falls asleep, but before she goes to sleep, she suggests to the subconscious mind that she will awaken if the child's temperature goes up, or when it needs medicine, or perhaps cries. There may be a thunderstorm going on while the mother sleeps, yet she is not awakened by the storm. However, when the child cries, she is immediately awakened. This is a simple function of the subconscious mind. Chapter 2. The Subconscious Mind in Health. The subject of mental therapeutics is creating a widespread interest all over the world at the present time. Man is gradually awakening to the healing powers resident in his subconscious mind. It is a well-known fact that all of the various goals of healing affect cures of the most wonderful character. The answer to all of this is that there is one universal healing principle, namely, the subconscious mind, and one process of healing, which is faith. This is why Paracelsus stated this great truth: whether the object of your faith be real or false, you will nevertheless obtain the same effects. It is an established fact that cures have taken place in various shrines throughout the world, such as in Japan, India, Europe, and the American continent. You will find many widely differing theories, each presenting indubitable evidences of healing. Obviously, to the thinker, there must be some underlying principle common to them all. Regardless of the geographical location or the means used, there is only one healing principle, and the process of every healing is faith. The first thing to remember is the dual nature of your mind. The subconscious mind is constantly amenable to the power of suggestion. Furthermore, the subconscious mind has complete control of the functions, conditions, and sensations of your body. I venture to believe that all of the readers of this book are familiar with the fact that the symptoms of almost any disease can be induced in hypnotic subjects by suggestion. For example, a subject in the hypnotic state can develop a high temperature, flushed face, or chills according to the nature of the suggestion given. By experiment, you can suggest to the person that they are paralyzed and cannot walk. It will be so. Pain can also be induced in any part of the body. By illustration, you can hold a cup of cold water under the nose of the hypnotic subject and tell him, "This is full of pepper. Smell it." He will proceed to sneeze. What do you think caused him to sneeze, the water or the suggestion? If a man says he is allergic to Timothy grass, you can place a synthetic flower or any empty glass in front of the nose of such a person in a hypnotic state and tell him it is Timothy grass. He will portray the usual allergic symptoms. This indicates that the cause of the disease is in the mind. The healing of the disease can also take place mentally. We realize that remarkable healings take place through osteopathy, chiropractics, medicine, and naturopathy, as well as through all of the various churches, but we maintain that all of these healings are brought about through the subconscious mind, the only healer there is. Notice how it heals a cut on your face caused by shaving. It knows exactly how to do it. The doctor dresses the wound. He says, "Nature heals it." Nature refers to natural law, the law of the subconscious mind, or self-preservation, which is the function of the subconscious mind. The instinct of self-preservation is the first law of nature. Your strongest instinct is the most potent of all autosuggestions. You have just learned that you can induce disease in your own body, or that of another through suggestion, in defiance of your natural instincts. It is perfectly natural and obvious that suggestions in harmony with instinctive autosuggestion would have greater power. It is easier to maintain and restore health than it is to bring about sickness in the body. The faith that brings about healing is a certain mental attitude, a way of thinking, an inner certitude, an expectancy of the best. In the healing of the body, it is, of course, desirable to secure the concurrent faith of both the conscious and subconscious mind. However, it is not essential. If the person will enter into a state of passivity and receptivity by relaxing the mind and the body and getting into a sleepy state. I have known people who have completely denied matter in their bodies, yet they received marvelous healings. I have known others who said the world was real, that matter was real, and that their bodies were real. They, likewise, have had wonderful healings. The point is that any method, technique, or process you may use which will bring about a change in the mind or a new mental atmosphere is legitimate. Results will follow. Healing is due to a changed mental attitude or to a transformation of the mind. Paracelsus said, "Whether the object of your faith be true or false, you will nevertheless obtain the same effects." Thus, if you believe in the bones of saints to heal, or if you believe in the healing power of certain waters, you will get results because of the powerful suggestion given to your subconscious mind. It is the latter that does the healing. The witch doctor with his incantations heals by faith also. Any method which causes you to move from fear and worry to faith and expectancy will heal. True, scientific mental healing is brought about by the combined function of the conscious and subconscious mind scientifically directed. The man who denies the ulcer on his hand, though he has one, who even denies his body, and who says all that is visible and tangible has no real existence may get a healing. All of this would be absurd to you. The question arises, how does the man get a healing when he protests against such statements claiming they insult his intelligence? The reason is very obvious when you know how the subconscious mind works. The man is asked to relax his mind and body, to get into a quiet passive receptive state. Then the objective senses are partially suspended and in abeyance. He is in a sleepy state, and the subconscious mind is amenable to suggestion. The practitioner then suggests wonderful words of perfect health which enter his subconscious mind. The client finds immense relief and perhaps a complete healing. The practitioner is not handicapped by antagonistic autosuggestions of the patient arising from objective doubt of the power of the healer or the correctness of the theory. In the sleepy, drowsy state of the conscious mind, resistance is reduced to a minimum. Hence, results follow. There are a great number who claim that, because their theory produces results, it is, therefore, the correct one. This, as explained in this chapter, cannot be true. You know, there are all types of healing. Mesmer and others healed by claiming they were sending forth a certain magnetic fluid. Other men came along and said all of this was nonsense, that the healing was due to suggestion. All of these groups, such as psychiatrists, psychologists, osteopaths, chiropractors, physicians, and all churches, are using the one universal healing power resident in the subconscious mind. Each may proclaim the healings are due to their theory. The process of all healing is a definite, positive mental attitude, an inner certitude, or a way of thinking called faith. Healing is due to a confident expectancy which acts as a powerful suggestion to the subconscious mind, releasing its healing potency. One man does not heal by a different power than another. It is true he may have his own theory and method. There is only one process of healing, and that is faith. There is only one healing power, namely, your subconscious mind. Select the theory and method which you prefer. You can rest assured, if you have the faith, you shall get results. In the Los Angeles Examiner some time ago, John McDowell described tests being conducted in prayer therapy at Redlands University under the title, Psychosomatic Tests Bear Prayer's Power. He writes as follows: Dr. William R. Parker, 37-year-old director of the clinic, today revealed for the first time that early results of prayer therapy in a group of 20 arthritic, tubercular, ulcer, and speech impediment patients have been favorable. These patients, who agreed to practice prayer therapy in addition to the university clinic's regular group psychological therapy, have been making greater progress than the clinic's regular patients, Dr. Parker said. For example, a stomach ulcer patient, relying solely on prayer and group therapy, has reported that, for the last 3 weeks, all symptoms of his ailment have disappeared. A Redlands University professor, afflicted most of his life with a severe case of stuttering which years of various treatments failed to correct, today has no trace of speech impediment after 6 months of prayer therapy. Another teacher, forced into retirement a year ago because of tuberculosis, is now back at his teaching job, apparently cured. This man's doctor, a tuberculosis specialist, recently gave him a sputum test. Dr. Parker said. The test turned up negative, and the doctor was certain a mistake had been made. He immediately made another test, and that was negative too. Dr. Parker, a doctor of psychology, not medicine, stresses that prayer therapy is no quackish miracle cure-all, but a scientific approach to prayer and its effect on the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, in the eyes of the still pioneering psychosomatic medicine world, is the fountainhead of many of mankind's afflictions, including arthritis, asthma, hay fever, multiple sclerosis, tuberculosis, ulcers, and high blood pressure. The psychosomatic theory, hotly disputed by the medical profession, is that such ailments start as functional disorders in the subconscious and develop into organic disease, which doctors treat by attacking the symptoms rather than the cause. Prayer therapy, according to Dr. Parker, is a psychosomatic attempt to attack the causes of these disorders in the subconscious. 4 basic personality difficulties are at the root of everything that goes wrong in the subconscious mind, Dr. Parker said. They are fear, hate, guilt, and inferiority. In the Redlands prayer therapy experiments, these basic difficulties are first ferreted out through a series of standard psychological tests given to patients participating in the project. Subsequently, the patients meet in a 90-minute group session once a week to discuss their problems. At these meetings, each patient is given a sealed envelope containing information on one detrimental aspect of his or her personality uncovered in the tests. Once at home, the patients open the envelopes, learn a new undesirable phase of their personality, and resolve that particular difficulty in prayer daily until the next group meeting. There is only one must. Each patient is required to pray regularly each night before he or she retires. We insist on a prayer at that time, because the last thing that a person is thinking before going to sleep is most likely to penetrate to the subconscious, Dr. Parker said. Dr. Parker, who first tried out his prayer theories on himself during an onset of ulcers 3 years ago, said most of the patients have to be taught how to pray. The clinic's prayer therapy patients are taught a positive approach to prayer, stressing love, and an uplifting concept of God and the universe. Our prayers are not a begging for help, but are affirmations of the healing of the unhealthy element the patient wants to attack, stated in such a positive, repetitious manner that eventually it sinks into the subconscious and becomes a part of that person, Dr. Parker said. In that manner, through prayer, destructive aspects within the subconscious can be attacked and eventually overcome, thus eliminating the basic causes of their physical ills. In the Wilshire Bell Theatre, where I speak to an overflow audience each Sunday, we have a period called the healing silence. The first thing I do is ask the audience to relax, let go, and to stop the wheels of their mind. The purpose is to quiet down the doubting Thomas, conscious mind, and insert a new idea such as health, peace, joy, and abundance into the receptive minds of the listeners. Those who are impregnated will give birth to a healing or an answer to their prayer. This is the kinetic action of the subconscious mind. Many report excellent results every Sunday, as attested to by grateful letters. I would like to stress a few important factors here relative to the workings of the subconscious mind. A man came to me one time and asked me why it was when he kept on saying to himself, "I have no headache," that the pain did not go away. The subconscious mind will not easily accept this contradiction. It accepts only what you believe and feel is true, or accept as possible. If you mentally accept the possibility of the execution of your idea, the subconscious will cooperate. In order to impress the subconscious mind, you must gain its cooperation. If you can convince the subconscious mind you have no headache, the headache will go away. I suggested to him this method: declare, "It is passing away," over and over again, quietly and peacefully. In this way he would be better able to sell the idea or conclusion to the wise, deep self, called the subconscious mind. He got results. He added something to it: it will never return. For years he has never had any migraine attacks from which he suffered frequently. He had a belief or an expectancy that every Tuesday and Saturday morning he would get migraine attacks. This feeling acted as an autosuggestion to his subconscious mind. The latter obliged him by seeing to it that he would have a headache at the time specified. It simply said, "It is Tuesday morning. The boss wants a headache." The negative suggestion was removed by the above counter suggestion. Here is another instance. A very brilliant woman came to me some years ago stating that she had psoriasis on her body which would go away by applying an ointment, but that as soon as the salve was discontinued, it would return. She was not resenting anyone. She was very religious and seemingly well balanced emotionally. In talking to her, I discovered that she lived in constant fear of its return. As a matter of fact, this was a very powerful suggestion to her subconscious mind. Since it is controlled by suggestion and belief, it responded accordingly. She would affirm 2 or 3 times a day, "I am whole, pure, and perfect. My skin is perfect. I am healed." Nothing happened. You can readily see what happened in her case. Every time she said, "My skin is perfect," it started a quarrel in her mind. Something within her said, "No, your skin is not perfect." The following technique worked for her in a wonderful way. She started to say for 5 or 10 minutes 3 or 4 times a day, "It is changing now for the better." This created no quarrel in her conscious or subconscious mind. Results followed. It gradually disappeared, and it has never returned. I am sure she ceased suggesting its return. What I fear most has come upon me. Trust the subconscious mind to heal you. It made your body, and it knows all of its processes and functions. It knows much more than your conscious mind about healing and restoring you to perfect balance. The subconscious mind, sometimes called the deep self, knows more about your body than all of the wisest men in the world. Never try to coerce or force the mind. We do not infer that some people who say, "I am whole, pure, and perfect," do not get results. Of course they do, because they succeed in convincing themselves of it. Blind belief in faith will bring results due to the subjective faith of the individual. A psychologist friend of mine told me that one of his lungs was infected. X-rays and analysis showed the presence of tuberculosis. At night before going to sleep, he would quietly affirm, "Every cell, nerve, tissue, and muscle of my lungs are now being made whole, pure, and perfect. My whole body is now being restored to health and harmony." These are not his exact words, but they represent the essence of what he said. A complete healing followed in about a month's time. Subsequent X-rays showed a perfect healing. I wanted to know his method, so I asked him why he repeated the words prior to sleep. Here is his reply: "The kinetic action of the subconscious mind continues throughout your sleep time period. Hence give the subconscious mind something good to work on as you drop off into slumber." This was a very wise answer. In suggesting harmony and health, he never mentioned his trouble by name. I strongly suggest that you cease talking about your ailments or giving them a name. The only sap from which they draw life is your attention and fear of them. Like the above-mentioned psychologist, become a good mental surgeon. Then your troubles will be cut off like dead branches are pruned from a tree. If you are constantly naming your aches and symptoms, by the law of your own mind these imaginings tend to take shape, greatly feared. A technique of impressing the subconscious mind is as follows. This consists essentially in inducing the subconscious mind to take over your request as handed it by the conscious mind. This passing over is best accomplished in the reverie-like state. Know that in your deeper mind is infinite intelligence and infinite power. Just calmly think over what you want. See it coming into fuller fruition from this moment forward. Be like the little girl who had a very bad cough and sore throat. She declared firmly and repeatedly, "It is passing away now. It is passing away now." It passed away in about an hour. Use this technique with complete simplicity and naivety. In using the subconscious mind, you infer no opponent. You use no willpower. You use imagination, not willpower. You imagine the end in the freedom state. You will find your intellect trying to get in the way, but persist in maintaining a simple, childlike, miracle-making faith. Picture yourself without the ailment or problem. Imagine the emotional accompaniments of the freedom state you crave. Cut out all red tape from the process. The simple way is always the best. Remember that your body possesses an organic mechanism reflecting the interplay of the conscious and subconscious mind, viz., the voluntary, cerebrospinal nervous system, and the involuntary nervous system. These two systems may work separately or synchronously. The vagus nerve connects the two systems in the body. When you study the cellular system and the structure of the organs such as eyes, ears, heart, liver, bladder, etc., you learn they consist of groups of cells which possess a group intelligence whereby they function together and are able to take orders and carry them out in deductive fashion at the suggestion of the master mind, conscious mind. This is why the group intelligence of the lungs responded to the constructive positive suggestions of the psychologists previously mentioned in this chapter. In this book, our purpose is to remove the mystery of the workings of the mind in order to know better its modus operandi. In the relaxed state, the subjective mind comes to the surface and begins to work on the correct pattern suggested by the healer. The kinetic action of the mind comes into play by way of the vagus nerve. Between sleeping and the waking state, the mind breaks through from its material thraldom and the limitations of time and space and asserts its innate freedom. Dr. Evans, a student of Quimby, was able to suspend the conscious mind and by an interior illumination, attended with no loss of consciousness of external surroundings, was able to diagnose disease. Clairvoyance is one of the powers of the subconscious mind which enabled Quimby, Dr. Evans, and many others to clearly see the internal structure of man, the nature and extent of the disease, plus the cause behind it. This proved a great aid in their healing of patients. The explanation of the mental and emotional cause of their ailments was the solution in most cases. The usual procedure is as follows: 1. Take a look at the problem. 2. Then turn to the solution or way out known only to the subconscious mind. 3. Rest in a sense of deep conviction that it is done. Do not weaken your treatment by saying, "I hope so," or "it will be better." The cellular setup of your body will follow faithfully and honestly whatever blueprint the conscious mind hands over to them via the subconscious, sometimes called subjective or involuntary mind. Your feeling about the work to be done is the boss. Know that health is yours. Harmony is yours. Become intelligent by becoming a vehicle for the infinite, healing power of the subconscious mind. The reasons of failure are lack of confidence and too much effort. Suggest to the subconscious mind to the point of conviction, then relax. Get yourself off of your hands. Say to conditions and circumstances, "This too shall pass." Through relaxation, you impress the subconscious mind, enabling the kinetic energy behind the idea to take over and bring it into concrete realization. A careful study of the single-celled organism shows us what goes on in our complex body. Though the monocellular organism has no organs, it still gives evidence of mind action and reaction, performing the basic functions of movement, alimentation, assimilation, and elimination. Dr. Alexis Carrel's findings in heart experiments of chicks are significant, pointing to the basic finding that life functions despite the lack of complete, organistic equipment. The body of man portrays the workings of his inner mind. Our real powers are resident in the subconscious mind. No one knows all of the workings of the subconscious mind, for it is infinite in its scope. We learn what we can about how it works, then we use it accordingly. People say there is an intelligence which will take care of the body if we let it alone. This is true, but the difficulty is that the conscious mind always interferes with its five sense evidence based on outer appearances, leading to the sway of false beliefs, fears, and mere opinion. When fear, false beliefs, and negative patterns are made to register in the subconscious mind through psychological emotional conditioning, there is no other course open to the subconscious mind except to act on the blueprint specification offered to it. The subjective self within you works continuously for the general good, reflecting an innate principle of harmony behind all things. Study the works of Edison, Carver, Einstein, and many others who without too much outer education knew how to tap the subconscious mind for its manifold treasures. Have a reason for the faith in you. You cannot get very far if you do not believe in what you do not see. I do not see love, but I feel it. I do not see beauty, I see it manifested. Subjective faith is often greater in a puny body of a garret-loving poet than in the stronger frame of a prize fighter. Our greatest failing is a lack of confidence in the powers of the subconscious mind. Get acquainted with your inner powers. Of what use is it to know in principle that you are perfect if you cannot bring it out? Self-realization, plus feeling, is the only key to healing. To get results is no proof your method is scientific or sound. I knew a man who was told to wave a rabbit's foot around his head 7 times, and a big wart would fall off. He believed it, and the result followed. The rabbit's foot had nothing to do with it. It was due to a law of mind. Mental acceptance and belief were the causes, and the disappearance of the wart was the effect. If you are tense and anxious, the subconscious mind will pay no attention to you in a tough situation. A house owner once remonstrated with a furnace repairman for charging $200 for fixing the boiler. The mechanic said, "I charged 5 cents for the missing bolt, and $199.95 for knowing what was wrong." Similarly, your subconscious mind is the master mechanic, the all-wise one, who knows ways and means of healing any organ of your body, as well as your affairs. Decree health, and the subconscious mind will establish it, but relaxation is the key. Easy does it. Do not be concerned with details and means, but know the end result. Get the feel of the happy solution of your problem, whether it is health, financial, or employment, etc. Remember how you felt after you had recovered from a severe state of illness. Bear in mind that the feeling is the touchstone of all subconscious demonstration. Your new idea must be felt subjectively in a finished state, not in the future, but is now coming about. One of our students who attended our lectures on the miracles of the mind had severe eye trouble which the doctors said necessitated operation. He was instructed how to use the Nancy School technique, take a little phrase or affirmation, easily graven on the memory, and repeat it over and over again like a lullaby. Each night this man, as he went to sleep, entered into the drowsy meditative state, the state akin to sleep. His attention was immobilized and focused on his eye doctor. He imagined the doctor was in front of him, and he plainly heard, or imagined he heard, the doctor saying to him, "A miracle has happened." He heard this over and over again every night for perhaps 5 minutes or so, before going to sleep. At the end of 3 weeks he went to the ophthalmologist who had previously examined his eyes, and he said to this client, "This is a miracle." What happened? He impressed his subconscious mind, using the doctor as an instrument, or a means of convincing or conveying the idea. Through repetition, faith, and expectancy he impregnated the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind made the eyes. Within it was the perfect pattern, and immediately it proceeded to heal the eyes. This is another example of the miracles of your mind. Chapter 3. The Subconscious Mind and Alcoholism. The alcoholic is mentally ill, and he needs a mental overhauling. The problem drinker, the compulsive drinker, or the habitual drinker does not drink normally. The problem drinker is the chronic alcoholic. He drinks for days, weeks, and even months at a time. The alcoholic says that a passion seizes him periodically to drink. He is a victim of a habit because the acts leading to intoxication have been repeated so often. He has established a subjective pattern in his subconscious mind. Because the alcoholic has already yielded to his craving, he fears that he will yield once more. This contributes to his repeated falls due to the suggestions given to his subconscious mind. It is his imagination which causes the alcoholic to return to drinking intermittently. The images which have been impressed on his subconscious mind begin to bear fruit. He imagines a drinking bout in which glasses are filled and drained. Then he imagines the following sense of ease and enjoyment, a feeling of relaxation. If he lets his imagination run wild, he will go to the bar or buy a bottle. The drinker uses effort and willpower to overcome the habit, or cause, as he calls it. The more effort or willpower he uses, the more hopelessly engulfed does he become in the quicksand. Effort is invariably self-defeated, eventuating always in the opposite of what is desired. The reason for this is obvious. The suggestion of powerlessness to overcome the habit dominates his mind. The subconscious mind is always controlled by the dominant idea. The subconscious mind will accept the strongest of two contradictory propositions. The effortless way is the best. The first drink starts the alcoholic off. This is due to a subconscious tendency or urge established through habit. There is a law of reversed effort which was explained by the French School of Therapeutics in 1910. It means this: when your desire and your imagination are in conflict, the imagination invariably gains the day. For example, you will hear an alcoholic say, "I took a lot of pains, I tried so hard, I forced myself, I used all the willpower I had," etc. He has to be made to realize that herein lies his error. Then he begins to conquer the habit. If, for example, you were asked to walk a plank on the floor, you would do so without question. Now suppose the same plank were placed 20 feet up in the air between two walls, would you walk it? Your desire to walk it would be counteracted by your imagination, your fear of falling. The dominant idea would conquer. Your desire, will, or effort to walk would be reversed, and the dominant idea of failure would be reinforced. If a man says, "I want to give up alcohol, but I cannot," he may wish to give it up, but the harder he tries, the less he is able. Never try to compel the subconscious mind to accept your idea by exercising willpower. Such attempts are doomed to failure. The subconscious mind accepts the dominant of two contradictory statements. It is like the man who is poverty-stricken saying, "I am wealthy." In most instances his statement makes him poor. The simple reason for this is that his belief in poverty is much greater than his belief in abundance, so he is suggesting more lack to himself each time he makes the statement. This illustrates the law of reversed effort. In other words, the opposite result from that which was intended follows. In using the subconscious to heal alcoholism, you must engage its cooperation. The subconscious mind will accept your feeling, your belief, or your conviction. The alcoholic avoids the conflict which arises in his mind by using the sleeping technique. By entering into a sleepy, drowsy state, effort is reduced to a minimum. The conscious mind is submerged to a great extent when in a sleepy state. The best time to impregnate the subconscious mind, as the French school pointed out in 1910, is prior to sleep. The reason for this is that the highest degree of outcropping of the subconscious occurs just prior to sleep and just after we awaken. In this state, the negative thoughts which tend to neutralize your desire and so prevent acceptance by the subconscious no longer present themselves. Here is a simple method a chronic alcoholic for 40 years used. I wrote this out for him. Assume a comfortable posture, relax your body, and be still. Get into a sleepy state, and in that sleepy state say quietly, over and over again as a lullaby, I am completely free from this habit. Sobriety and peace of mind reign supreme. Repeat the above slowly, quietly, and lovingly for 5 or 10 minutes night and morning. At the end of 3 weeks he lost all desire to drink. Each time he repeated the above statement, its emotional value became greater. When the urge came, he repeated the above formula out loud to himself. By this means he induced the subconscious to accept his idea and a healing followed. I remember treating an alcoholic in Rochester, New York, some years ago. He said to me, I had not had a drop in 6 months, and I was congratulating myself. All my friends were patting me on the back, telling me what wonderful willpower I had. Then, he added, an uncontrollable urge seized me, and I have been drunk for 2 weeks. This had happened time and again with this man. The effort of his will suppressed his desire temporarily, but his continued effort to suppress made matters worse. His repeated failures convinced him that he was hopeless and powerless in controlling his urge or obsession. This idea of being powerless operated, of course, as a powerful suggestion to his subconscious, increased his impotence, and made his life a wreck. I taught him how to harmonize the function of the conscious and subconscious mind. When the two cooperate, the idea or desire is realized. His reasoning mind admitted that, if he had been conditioned negatively, he could be conditioned positively. His mind entertained the idea that he could succeed. He ceased thinking of the fact that he was powerless to overcome the habit. Moreover, he understood clearly that there was no obstacle to his healing other than his own thought. Therefore, there is no occasion for great mental effort or mental coercion. To use force is to presuppose that there is opposition. When the mind is concentrated on the means to overcome a problem, it is no longer concerned with the obstacle. This man made a practice of relaxing his body, getting into a sleepy, drowsy meditative state, then filling his mind with the picture of the desired end, knowing the subconscious would bring it about in the easiest way. He imagined his daughter congratulating him on his freedom, saying to him, "Daddy, it's wonderful to have you home." He had lost his family through drink. He was not allowed to visit them. His wife would not speak to him. Regularly, systematically, he used to sit down and meditate in the way outlined. When his attention wandered, he brought it back to the picture of his daughter with her smile, tonal qualities, and the scene of his own home. All this was a reconditioning of his mind. It was a gradual process. He kept it up. He persevered, knowing that sooner or later he would succeed in impregnating his subconscious with a mental picture. I told him the conscious mind was the camera, and his subconscious was the sensitive plate on which he registered and impressed the picture. This made a profound impression on him. His whole aim was to impress the picture and develop it in his mind. Your film is developed in the dark. Likewise, your mental picture is developed in the dark house of the subconscious mind. Realizing his conscious mind was the camera, he used no effort. There was no mental struggle. He quietly adjusted his thought and focused all his attention on the scene before him. He became absorbed in its reality, somewhat like a sponge absorbing water. It's a sort of mental absorption, whereby you are completely identified with the picture. Sometimes you are so engrossed or absorbed in reading a newspaper article, you can't hear a loved one speak to you. He got into this mental atmosphere, repeated it frequently, and knew a healing would follow. When the temptation to drink came, he knew it was his imagination taking him back to the drinking bout, so he would switch off that scene, cut the film, so to speak, and see his daughter, feel her embrace, and hear her voice. The secret of his success was that he confidently expected to experience the picture he was developing in his mind. You are a ship, and thought is your helm. Change the direction of the helm, your thought. As a result, you change the direction of your ship. Get acquainted now with that infinite reservoir of strength and healing power within you, which is the subconscious mind. If you are an alcoholic, admit it. Do not dodge the issue. Many people remain alcoholics because they refuse to admit it. Your disease is an instability, an inner fear. You are refusing to face life, and so you try to escape your responsibilities through the bottle. The interesting thing about an alcoholic is that he has no free will. He thinks he has. He boasts about his willpower. The habitual drunkard says bravely, "I will not touch it anymore," but he has no power to back it up because he does not know where to locate it. The alcoholic is living in a psychological prison of his own making and is bound by his beliefs, opinions, training, and environmental influences. He is like most people, i.e., he is a creature of habit. He is conditioned to react the way he does. The alcoholic must build the idea of freedom and peace into his mentality so that it reaches his subconscious mind. The latter, being all-powerful, will free him from all desire for alcohol. Then the alcoholic who has the new understanding of how his mind works can truly back up his statements and prove it to himself. Your subconscious mind is conditioned by your beliefs and habits. If the alcoholic has a keen desire to free himself from the habit, he is 51% healed already. When he has a greater desire to give it up than to continue it, he will not experience too much difficulty in gaining complete freedom. The alcoholic must recondition his mind. There are ways and means of doing this. When you think good, good follows. When you think evil, evil follows. These are simple examples of laws of mind. If a man dwells and broods on sorrow, he meets sorrow and gloom in his outer experience. If he dwells on peace and good fortune in his business, it will prosper. To know the possibilities of such laws of mind is to be seized with a new inspiration and a new faith. The alcoholic learns that, whatever thought he anchors his mind upon, the latter magnifies. If the alcoholic engages his mind on the concept of freedom, freedom from the habit, and peace of mind, and if he keeps focused on this new direction of his attention, he generates feelings and emotions which gradually emotionalize the concept of freedom and peace. Whatever idea is emotionalized is accepted by the subconscious mind and brought to pass. The alcoholic must realize that something good can come out of his suffering. He has not suffered in vain. However, what good is it to continue to suffer? To continue as an alcoholic is only to bring about mental and physical deterioration and decay. Begin to say no to the urge now. Realize that the power in your subconscious mind is backing you up. Even though you may be seized with melancholia and the shakes, begin to imagine the joy and freedom that is in store for you. This is the law of substitution. Your imagination took, and peace of mind. You will suffer a little bit, you to the bottle. Let it take you now to freedom, but it is for a constructive purpose. You will bear it like the mother in the pangs of childbirth, and you will, likewise, bring forth a child of the mind. Your subconscious mind will give birth to sobriety. Your thinking controls you, whether you know it or not. You are now fully aware of the fact that your subconscious mind accepts without question the thoughts you impress upon it. You can now begin to control your life. To discipline your mind means to think constructively and harmoniously. One time I read an article about Goethe. He was wont to hold imaginary mental conversations with friends. For example, he would get still and quiet and imagine one of his friends answering him in the way he wanted, with characteristic gestures and tone of voice. He solved many of his problems that way. So can you. Many have asked me about their reason or cause for drinking to excess. There are, of course, many reasons. It may be that a man is resenting his wife, or his job, or his employer. Maybe he is jealous, or he has an inferiority or rejection complex. I have discovered in treating alcoholics that there is nearly always a deep sense of guilt. I am now thinking of a married man, with 4 children, supporting and secretly living with another woman during his business trips. He was ill, nervous, irritable, cantankerous, and could not sleep without drugs. He had pains in numerous organs of his body which doctors could not diagnose. He was a confirmed alcoholic when I saw him. The reason for his periodic sprees was a deep unconscious sense of guilt. He had violated the ancient code and this troubled him. The religious creed he was brought up on was deeply lodged in his subconscious mind. He drank excessively to heal the wound of guilt. Some take morphine and cotton for severe pains. He was taking alcohol for the pain or wound of the mind. It is the old story of adding fuel to the fire. He listened to the explanation of how his mind worked. He faced his problem, looked at it, and gave up his dual role. He knew that his drinking was an unconscious attempt to escape. The hidden cause lodged in the subconscious had to be eradicated. Then the healing followed. When he began to look at his problem in the light of reason, it was dissipated. He began to use this treatment 3 or 4 times a day. My mind is full of peace, poise, balance, and equilibrium. The infinite power lies stretched in smiling repose within me. I am not afraid of anything in the past, the present, or the future. Infinite intelligence leads, guides, and directs me in all ways. I now meet every situation with faith, poise, calmness, and confidence. I am now completely free from the habit. My mind is full of inner peace, freedom, and joy. I forgive myself, then I am forgiven. Peace, sobriety, and confidence reign supreme in my mind. He repeated this frequently, knowing what he was doing and why he was doing it. Knowing what he was doing gave him the necessary faith and confidence. I explained to him that as he said these statements out loud, slowly, lovingly, and meaningfully, they would gradually sink down into his subconscious. Like seeds, they would grow after their kind. I explained to him that his subconscious mind was like a garden. By planting lovely seeds, he would reap a wonderful harvest. It is the nature of an apple seed to bring forth an apple tree. These truths which he concentrated on went in through his eyes. His ears heard the sound. The healing vibration of these words reached his subconscious mind and obliterated all the negative mental patterns which caused all the trouble. Light dispels darkness. The positive thought destroys the negative. He became a transformed man within a month. Of course, as you know, people will give you all manner of excuses or alibis as to why they drink. They may blame their drinking on some tragedy in the home, some crisis in their life, lack of money, or education. The real reason is negative thinking, which has brought about an emotional maladjustment. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The word heart is an ancient word meaning the subconscious mind. In simple language, it is saying, as you think and feel, so are you in all departments of your life. Emerson said, a man is what he thinks all day long. This is the answer and the whole story. The cause is in yourself, in your habitual thinking, your mental attitude, and reaction to life. The alcoholic addict is really seeking to escape some sense of bondage or some subconscious restriction. In other words, the alcoholic lacks confidence and poise. I told a woman one time not to give any more money to her son as he spent it all on drink. I said, you are only contributing to his delinquency. Oh, she said, he kneels down, kisses the Bible, and swears he will never touch another drop. I believe him. Then I give him the money. He seems so penitent, remorseful, and so full of condemnation of himself for the way he acted, that I think he means it. I explained to her that these were idle statements on the part of her son and really meant nothing. Under no circumstances should she give him any more money. I spent some time with her explaining that the boy had no free will, but was just boasting about his willpower to give up drinking. His statements and oaths that he would never touch it anymore were meaningless, as he had no power to back them up. In other words, he did not know where the power was, nor how to locate it. She brought him to see me. He came rather reluctantly, making the usual statement that he was not an alcoholic. I told him to stop this nonsense, admit it openly, and not dodge it. That is the first step in healing. Many remain alcoholics because they refuse to admit they are. This boy was condemning himself, saying, I suppose I'm no good. Alcohol took him into a world of temporary illusion, where in his morbid imagination he was king for a day. This gave him a false sense of confidence and a temporary sense of self-sufficiency. He admitted that, if he took one drink, he lost all control and drank until he fell unconscious. The reason for this is obvious. His mental control was rendered null and void due to a subconscious pattern engraved on his mind over a long period of time. It is like a track on which the train moves. He had established a mental track in his mind on which ran images of drinking bouts, of glasses filled, images associated with feeling of enjoyment and success. The minute this confirmed drunkard took a drink, that was a suggestion for another and another until he fell unconscious. He had subjectified a belief in the necessity of alcohol. The law of the subconscious, being that of compulsion, the moment he took one he was compelled to take another. This young man said what all alcoholics say: if I don't take the first drink I'm all right, but the minute I take the first, I lose control. The reason is that the one drink brings on an outcropping of the subconscious mind which, in the case of the alcoholic, due to long habit and conditioning says to him, have another. Have another. His subconscious belief in fear is his governor and controls his conduct and actions. Man is bound by his beliefs, opinions, training, and environmental influences. He is conditioned to react the way he does. Life is forever seeking to express itself through man. The desire for true place, peace of mind, abundance, and security are cosmic urges within all men. There is a law of mind which, when understood, enables man to realize his cherished desires. The cause of all confusion, strife, and problems in the world is man's failure to realize his heart's desires. Show man the powers of his own subconscious mind. Tell him that, if you will imagine the end, feel it subjectively, and remain faithful to his ideal, the subconscious will bring it to pass. People who try and stifle desire have really an unconscious impulse towards self-destruction or self-oblivion. When man begins to believe in a power greater than himself lodged in his own unconscious depths, he is on the way to health, happiness, and peace of mind. There is nothing new about the following technique. It is as old as man. The most ancient wisdom available said, as a man imagines and feels, so is he. The first step: get still, quiet the wheels of the mind. Enter into a sleepy, drowsy state. In this relaxed, peaceful, receptive state you are preparing for the second step. The second step: take a brief phrase which can readily be graven on the memory, and repeat it over and over again as a lullaby. Nancy School technique. Use the phrase, sobriety and peace of mind are mine now, and I give thanks. To prevent the mind from wandering, repeat it aloud, or sketch its pronunciation with lips and tongue as you say it mentally. This helps its entry into the subconscious mind. Do this for 5 minutes or more. You will find a deep emotional response from the subconscious. It is wonderful. The third step: just before going to sleep, practice what Goethe used to do. Imagine a friend, a loved one in front of you. Your eyes are closed. You are relaxed and at peace. The loved one is subjectively present and is saying to you, congratulations. You see the smile. You hear the voice. You touch the hand in the face. It's all so real and vivid. The word congratulations implies complete freedom. Hear it over and over again until you get the reaction which satisfies. The above technique is sound psychological procedure and is an excellent means of conveying an idea to the subconscious mind. You know you will go where your vision is. The wishful thinker is a man who does not believe in the possibility of the execution of his idea or desires. He is the daydreamer. The scientific thinker imagines the end, the victory. He sees fulfillment and accomplishment, and maintains his faith every step of the way, knowing that having imagined and felt the end, he has willed the means to the realization of the end. When fear knocks at your door, when doubt, worry, and anxiety cross your mind, behold your vision. Trust it, believe in it, and an almighty power will be generated by your subconscious, giving you full confidence and strength. Keep on keeping on until the day breaks and the shadows flee away.